Hey, Michael. DK. Can you see me now? Back. Okay. I don't know what I did there. It popped up big yellow alert, lost connection. So I don't know what's going on. Hopefully it'll go all right for us, but we'll see. We'll see. I refreshed the screen. I figured I would have to start a new stream, but it let me back into this one. So if you lose me again, frozen screen, I'll try to do that again. So stick here for a couple minutes just to see. Hope everyone's doing good. Sorry for letting you down within the first 3 minutes of the stream. Rick, you play too? Acoustic? Ariel, welcome to the stream tonight, my friend. Jingle bells. Hope everyone had a great week. It's been a lovely week here at the shop. Solemn Sage. Tony Rice style. Got a little way to go for some good old Tony Rice. No stairway to heaven here, sir. How's winter going? Spectacular. We're finally getting some snow here. I've never seen a winter like this in all of my days here in Newfoundland. We're usually, this is peak winter by now, early February, January, February. And until very end of January, we had basically no snow. We had a couple little snowfalls here and there. We had one right in Christmas, a good snowfall right around Christmas. Everything was nice and white. Then we lost it all again entirely. And then just little flurries here and there, and then rain to take it all away. And it's been like that all winter. Right now we're into like maybe a week, 10 days, 2 weeks or so of good snow and half decent cold temperatures. So it's nice. Looks like winter. I've been putting it to the plow truck, which is a lot of fun. Michael and DK, the Albertans. Hope everyone's had a good week. What have you been at? What's the most exciting thing that happened in your week? I got an update on the merch. We should have merch by end of next week. That's the goal. I'm working on it now for a few weeks. The process has definitely gone slower than I was hoping for. But we're gonna start off with some clothing, some hats. Gonna be nice. Really looking forward to it. We just finished up. Dan and I worked until probably 7:30 last night, I think, here. Got some good knife work in. Finished up a beautiful buck that's going to North Pole, Alaska. So that's fun. In order for this project, they were looking for a mammoth molar or mammoth tooth scales. And I searched high and low to find just the right scales. And boy, did I find them. And it was sort of from a sketchy website. I was a little bit uncertain first because the writing was a little bit bad, but just language difference probably where it was located. And boy, these molar slabs that came in, just incredible. And they're huge. So if anyone is looking right now for a mammoth tusk buck 110 or one of my production models or a custom that's using mammoth molar, now is the time. I've never had scales like these before. It's just incredible. if you want, just for anyone watching, I'll shoot my email in right into the chat right now. So that's my email, kyle@np-inc.ca. If you don't know my website, it's knknives.ca. Just threw it in the chat there. But if you want to contact me for custom orders or anything like that, that should be fun. Oh, thanks, DK. I really, really love doing the Buck 110s. They're just a lot of fun at this point. They used to be super stressful because they're a little bit high stakes. The knives aren't super cheap, and what happens is if you mess up any part of the stage, you might be lucky. If you're good enough, you can reproduce some of the parts. Like I've lost or destroyed pivot pins before, lock bar pivot pins. I've definitely replaced lock bar springs before. I think I might have even had to replace a lock bar one time that just happened to break while I was working on it. Nothing that I did out of the normal. You want to see those mammoth scales? Just hang on a second. I'll show you one piece that I have here. Look at these. If you've never worked with mammoth molar before, tusk is pretty soft. You can cut away at tusk and grind away, hand sand tusk quite easy. Literally the tusk, so it'll be cross section. You'll have a nice billet of it. It's not that hard. Mammoth molar is incredibly hard. It's almost like working with stone. Of course, there's an element of fossilization, I guess, in it. And it's almost like working with stone or glass. There's certain parts, certain layers in here that are just incredible. You're running through with the bandsaw, and I cut, my high carbon knife steels, annealed, but they're high carbon knife steels, 01, and you can just push through nicely. But when it hits certain elements in the molar, it'll throw sparks. It'll take teeth off of a blade. It's just incredible, like cutting glass. Really hard to grind, even on good quality ceramic belts. You really have to work it and watch your heat. It's a special material for sure. But given that hardness, when it polishes up, it polishes like glass. Just the shine and the finish that it's able to get is incredible. Speaking of tusk, yeah, jingle bells. I'm trying to keep the streak going. This live stream was actually supposed to be last night. I'll be switching to Fridays from here on in because we've scheduled it. My wife is back to work now. We've scheduled it so that I'm working late on Friday night so I can take all day Saturday off. So rather than coming down here again on Saturday night when I'm not working, which I didn't today, we'll be doing the stream on Friday night, be end of my work day. So I'll be just finishing up working here in the shop. It'll probably also make it so that, we worked until close on 8 last night. So if I had a stream then, I would have been here in my work clothes. Dad might have been here. You would have seen, you might have seen the forge going. You would have seen some exciting stuff compared to now where it's my Saturday. This was my day off. So I'm in clean clothes, washed up nice and clean. And I think it'll work. I don't know how it'll work for how well it'll work for you guys. Yes, Tim, I caught your message on that. I'm glad you love the knife, buddy. We'll get that straightened out. Shoot you a message on Monday, and we'll get that straightened out, get it off to you. Oh, Tim, we won't leave you out, buddy. We'll look after you. I apologize for for missing that. Sometimes if there's an extra note like that, I try to put it in my shipping sheet so that happens, but occasionally there's a slip up like that in shipping where something doesn't go in the box if it's extra. So what'll happen a lot of times is we'll look at the knife list. Okay, Tim is getting a Bake Apple or a Tuckamore in purple. Grab it, put it in the box, and go on. But if Tim has also requested a neck sheath, for example, hopefully that's supposed to make it into the note so that when we're shipping, okay, we can see Tim wants his Bake Apple and that. But if it doesn't go in, occasionally it gets missed. So I apologize in advance to anyone who ever encounters that. Michael, am I playing at tomorrow's service? Yes. I've played at just about every Sunday service I've been to ever since I was about 12 years old. When I mustered up enough courage one Sunday night, I believe in an after service, I had been practicing for a little while, a couple months, just starting to learn the drums. I'd been practicing for a little while, and I built up enough courage to go up and play them for like the last song or two at the end of a live stream. And at the end of a live stream. At the end of a service, the last couple songs, I went up, sat to the drums, played a couple songs, and I loved it. I believe the sweat was probably running. I was pretty nervous, but absolutely loved it. And I've been playing pretty much ever since then. I just took over here. I live in a very rural area here, not a big population, fairly small church, not a lot of musicians, like a rotating team or anything like that. So I just played every single week, every single service. I played the drums. There was no other drummer at the time. There's no other drummer now. My dad's the bass player. My uncle's one of the guitarists. So it's a family band here. DK, church is so good. I'm glad to hear you say that, buddy. I think so as well. Church is good if you got a good church. Unless you're talking about the church in the proper definition, and that is those that are followers of Christ. Then, of course, you can blanket statement church is good. Chris, did I check my email? You wanted to add the Blackout Bake Apple? I definitely did not see that from you unless you sent it just this evening or today. I might not have got it. I haven't really been on my emails much today, but let me check. I want to check here real quick. Oh, yeah, I got it, sir. I just haven't caught up on that one yet. So I'll get back to you. We can get you one of those. Not a problem at all. Ariel, what do you mean about the personal business, buddy? You said no personal business allowed during live streams? Good evening, Brian Abbott. Welcome. If you guys got any questions, start shooting them at me. I'll start answering them. I would love to. But I was going to mention, we got onto the mammoth molar topic here, and look at that. These are just waiting for a buck 110 or a Tuckamore or somewhere to be inlaid. I can't wait to use them. But just this week, finished up a Tuckamore. Just a beautiful Tuckamore. If you're on my website mailing list, subscribe to my mailing list, you would have seen a picture of this knife in that email that I sent out just a couple days ago. If you're not on that mailing list, go to my website, knknives.ca. There's a pop-up that'll let you subscribe to a mailing list, and you'll get emailed a 10% off code just for subscribing. So you want to take advantage of that. There's some dandy products on the website right now. But this is a Scandi Grind Tuckamore with a mammoth tusk inlay. And you can see brass inlaid there as well, brass separators, brass hardware. But this is a dark blue curly maple. You can see where the light's catching it there. Dark blue curly maple. We've got the mammoth tusk inlay. just classic. And then look at that Scandi grind, forge finish. Just a beauty, just a beauty. Yeah, I'm really, really happy with this piece. And then that knife, sorry guys, it's already sold. If you were looking to ask about it, it's already sold, as well as this one. His partner going to the same home right here. We've got a blue curly maple on ironwood, I believe, here in the back. Another Scandi grind. Both going to the same home. Yeah, Ariel, those brass spacers are hard to do. We were talking about this just last night. They can be so frustrating because brass is tricky to work with in combination with epoxies and using in spacers like that, because it generates so much heat so quickly. It's just hard to work with. Let's go of epoxy like that with heat. You really got to be careful. Once it gets all together in a knife like that, there's nowhere for it to go. There's nothing flexing. There's no heat generation. So there's nothing that can happen. But until that happens, when you've got, a 3/8 inch thick spacer, that's 2 inches by 6 inches, and that's just held together with those brass, it can be frustrating. DK, thanks for stopping in, buddy. You have a good night. Jeff Rose, you have enjoyed watching how far I've come from just sharpening to where you are now. Thanks so much, buddy. I do have a beautiful family, an incredible family. My girls are so good, so much fun, great personalities, smart, kind. They're just phenomenal little people. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun raising little people like that. And I am so grateful to have what I have here and to have come from just sharpening and restoring a few tools on a TV tray in the driveway. That was the early stages before I had any type of workshop. The TV tray, an extension cord, a bench grinder on the TV tray out in the driveway. And that's what I was working with. But I got work done with what I had there, right? And then I was fortunate enough to have another place, another old shop, and then another old shop. And then we put together and fixed up a shop. And it's just been a lot of fun. And now I'm in this place here, which is the ultimate. So much fun. I was down here today with the girls cleaning up. Just a blast. It's a pleasure to even clean this space here. I put a little wood in the furnace and just built a little bit of extra heat. But this is all heated floor. You can have it as warm as you want. I keep it around 18 degrees here, I think, because this work that I do is a lot of standing at workbenches. On the other side of the door there, the auto shop, we kept the temperature and still do keep the temperature quite low out there because any of that type of work is quite physical, right? And so you want the temperature lower, but in here, we want it nice and warm. Jingle Bells, the Tuckamore, the gunmetal Prevail. Yeah, I actually have one of those right here if you want to take a look. This is more material. Speaking of materials that are hard to work with, this material is brutal to work with. To get that finish takes so much time and effort. But look at that glass-like shine. But yet, despite the glass-like shine, it's not hard and slick like you would imagine. It's got there's almost a softness to it. It's really, really nice. This is a Prevail pattern if you're not familiar. And the Prevail's in 3/16, so quite a beastly knife. Over 9 inches long, larger than the Tuckamore. And this is in a Kieranite material. Really nice. Up on the website there now if you're interested, knknives.ca. But just a great, great piece. Hey, Mark from Victoria, Australia. Scott Stapleton is here. Thanks for checking in, Scott. Appreciate you stopping by despite all the exciting things you got going on in your life. You Americans got it all going on, don't you? Tavis, thank you, sir. I'm glad you're liking the new stock. If you're not subscribed to my website email list, you would have, if you are, you would have got an email within the last day or two notifying you of all the new stock on the site, knknives.ca. Lots of nice stuff there. Make sure you sign up for the subscriber list to get one-time 10% off discount code. You'll want to take advantage of that and go to town shopping. And I don't even think it's 10% off an item. I think it's 10% off your total order, which could really help you out. Blue Dog. Tavis currently sanding down a commission leather sheath. Very nice. You were putting out some beautiful leather work, buddy, I got to say. Angel, planning to do any more handkerchiefs? I'm not sure. We'll see. We'll see. Brad, the best way to care for unstabilized wood handles. Some type of oil, petroleum type product, or even like a mink oil, a mineral oil, food grade oil, some type of oil to keep it saturated from drying and shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. And then I like a wax type product too, like a little bit of beeswax mixed with the oil, just really worked into the unstabilized wood. Works nice. Treatment just like I would use with axe handles. You know, just coat it somewhat regularly in axe handles. I like boiled linseed oil, but you'll build a natural hard surface on that wood. You do with axe handles. It's really beautiful over time. Peter Green, thanks so much. I appreciate you you saying that. There's definitely been a great focus on quality. This year, a big focus on customer service, improvement in speed, email response, shipping times, less mistakes with shipping, these types of things. Got a pretty good track record in terms of mistakes already. Like there just haven't been many made in terms of, you know, messing up orders and sending stuff to wrong addresses and things like that. Very little issue, but I want it to be as near perfect as it can be. And it is a lot of fun, Peter, seeing the business grow. Very, very rewarding. Ariel, lanyard beads? I have not, but that would be fun. Let me make a note of that. Because that would certainly be no problem to do here. And it would be fun even to do just for a custom order, but as well for to do like a production run, like a matching set. That would be a lot of fun. Brian Fisher, looking to get 10 to 15 centimeters of snow tonight. Oh, I wish. There is such a beautiful thing about getting out in that plow truck. It's one of my favorite things to do right now. Get out in that plow truck. There's loads of snow down. A little bit of heat on. You're cozy. I've got all the comforts and fancies in the cab there now. I've got the couple cameras, so got just a great view. I don't have to be turning. I'm using my mirrors, but I've got, you know, all my screens there to see out the back. Got the lights on, plenty of light. Everything's working flawless with that plow blade. So it's just fun. Throw on some tunes, throw on a podcast, plow away. It's just fun. It's fun. It's fun to push snow. If you have never pushed snow with an ATV or just anything with a blade, really, UTV, a truck, vehicle, it's a lot of fun. So enjoy your 10 to 15. I'm not sure. Hey, buddy. My girls were trying to catch this little guy today. There's a little tiny vole here. He's right by my feet here now. I believe they're pretty deaf and pretty blind, so they don't get spooked real easily. But anyone would get spooked. You get around my 3 or 4 girls for a little bit, screaming and squealing. Thanks so much, Tim. I appreciate you stopping in to say that, buddy. Fancy fountain pen, yes, sir. Stays in the pocket. Hello, Tony. I'm you guys can probably tell if you're following my YouTube channel that the content frequency has really picked up this year for the first time in like 12 or 18 months, which I'm really, really excited about. That's big on my list this year, so that's fun. I've got a couple videos already teed up to go this week. Some knife work, documenting actually some of the work that you're seeing here tonight. Yeah, Ariel, I would love to do that. I would love to do that. We can certainly get it done. Hey, Lon. If you wanted to get a close-up look, we just looked at that Kieranite Prevail in the gunmetal swirl. Well, this is the camouflage. And look at that glassy finish again. Again, this is this material is quite hard to work with. Hard to get a perfect finish. Just with the texture and density of it, it just shows every mark that the belt grinder puts in. So these have to be highly hand finished. But it means you end up with a tang that looks like that and a finish that looks like that when you get your system dialed in. Polished nickel or silver hardware here. Forged finish flat grind Prevail in 3/16 Prevail is a lovely pattern. Just you've got the heft and the weight. It's a larger knife. A lot of fun. If you want to shrink it down a little, we have the Tuckamore. These are up on the website as well. Scandi grind, forged finish, really nice Scandi grind. Polished tang here as well. Not quite a high degree of polish as the Prevails. We have G10, a gray G10, and the black and red spacers. That's always real fun to do. That little fella strolling around. Beer Hunter, welcome. What is my conditioning stone and where can it be bought? I use the Nanawa dressing stone or the Nanawa Nagura 600 grit is what I use. And I use that for all of my stones right from the finest up until my 4,000 Shapton. I wouldn't use it on anything higher than that because I want the higher grit stones to kind of gloss in a little. I don't want to rough up and scratch up their surface. Maybe then I would use like I would use my 4,000 grit Shapton to dress the surface of my 5,000 grit Nanawa Professional. I can imagine, I've been thinking lately, I can't blame some of these older fellows for taking a while to get their story out. The longer you live through life, the more stuff you see, the more stories you have up here. That's like now trying to say that sentence quickly and smoothly when, I've gone through so many stones and there's so much going on up here and you're trying to get the Shapton Glassstone 4000 to try to get that clean in a sentence along with the Nanawa 5,000 Professional or the Chaucera line or whatever. It's hard to grab for that information quickly and cleanly. So I can imagine I have definitely have some empathy or sympathy for you guys 60, 70, 80 years old. I can see why your pace of talking slows down a little bit. Definitely. Regarding that Nanawa dressing stone, I got mine from paulsfinest.com. I'm not paid to say that, but Paul has a great site, great service. I think he ships US. Archer, thanks so much. I'm glad you enjoy. Starting next week, it will be on Friday nights. I hope that's not a problem for you guys. It'll still be like the 8 o'clock because that seems to work well for people. These are ones that come fresh out of the forge last night, guys. Look at these. These haven't even been wire wheeled yet. They are rough and scaly and burly. And they have, look at the heat treat colors. Just a beautiful thing. This is premium right here. This is premium. The Warriors. How many knives in production right now? If you count everything that's around the shop that's partly done on its way through, maybe 30 to 40 at this moment that's in this room being worked on in some way. And that's not counting the horde of restorations that are over here. Just they're starting to pile on top of one another now. Although the pace of getting them through is going really well, there's just a big surge right now in restoration and repair work. And we were talking just this week about that type of work, and Dad and I were talking about, you know, the direction of K&N Knives as it goes on in the future. And I said, I always want to keep a branch of repair and restoration and sharpening, no matter to what degree K&N Knives grows to the point where, you know, if we need 10 men here building and packing and shipping K&N Knives, I still want to be at that restoration and repair work as well. I never want to give that up because it's just so much fun for me. I'm passionate about it. I love seeing all those classics come across my table and the new ones, you know, to get in a beautiful Chris Reeve fixed blade and to modify it in scales and leather work is just a lot of fun. Seems like people have really been taking advantage too. I don't know if there was like a gap before of hard or difficult to get a hold of me for repair and restoration work. I don't know if people were having trouble funneling in, but now at this point, right on my website, I have a knife services tab there. You can go and see exactly what I can offer, and there's a contact form there. So you fill out, you enter submit, and your email or contact drops in my inbox. We can get started. So it's nice to see that I put quite a bit of work into putting that together on the back end. So it's nice to see so many people availing of that page there. It's nice. Just a bunch of new ones today that are coming in, filtering in through the website, which is great. Yeah, Andrew T, I really like it. I'm passionate about that work. To get, just let me 1 second here. Let's see, who is this? This is from someone named Ryan. And this is what we have here. This is what came into the shop. Look at this beautiful old classic. Who makes this? This is a Premier. A beautiful Premier. Stag scales. Look at this. This is beautiful. Aluminum here. Solid brass nut. A brass guard here. It's hard to even tell. It's got, you can see the tips broken off. Got a load of blade scratches. It's got a bunch of pitting in the blade. The handle, can you see that? Super loose. All of this is just slopping and flopping. The sheath, I'm not sure what this is for a sheath. I'm not, I'd have to look at the order list. I'm not even sure what I've got to do with this one right now. I'd have to look back at the list. So am I building a full new period correct custom leather sheath? I don't know. I hope I am. I hope that he's asking for that. But, you know, I just cannot wait to dig into this knife and go through all of my stages like I've been doing over the years. And I've got this process dialed, and this knife will be returned to its owner in pristine condition, in most cases new or better than new condition. And that's just fun for me. It's a beautiful thing keeping these pieces alive, where at this point it's one to throw in the back of a junk drawer. You can't use it. It's got no edge. The tip's broken off. The handle's so sloppy it might fall apart any moment. So it's not a user at this point. But I could make this into, and we'll make this into something that you could put on a fireplace mantle, a display piece. There goes my little buddy again. He's busy tonight. A display piece for a mantle in a fine study, or what would you call it? Like a library or wherever in a home. And that just brings me great, great joy. Tavis, if you don't mind the question, what airbrush do you use in your work? I use Princess Auto airbrushes because I switch through so many different dyes and finishes. It gums up and destroys airbrushes. So they're somewhat expendable to me. So I don't want to pay $300 for one and then constantly having to be blowing it out and cleaning it out with thinners and mineral spirits and this kind of stuff. It's better to me. It's kind of like, I don't know if you know... Bad Chad, car maker in Nova Scotia. I don't know if you know Bad Chad, any of you, but he uses Princess Auto paint guns. Why? Because he doesn't have to care too much about cleaning them. They're cheap enough that if he uses them and paints 3 or 4 cars, he can throw them in the trash and grab another one. And the time savings on that compared to buying, $1,000 gun or more and having to be so meticulous with cleaning it and dialing it in all the time, because you can't let an investment like that go to waste. You're in a realm that's not expendable anymore. So yeah, I use Princess Auto. If you're not in Canada, Princess Auto is kind of like Harbor Freight in the United States. Kind of like Harbor Freight. So they're cheap. They cost me $30, $40, something like that for the little kit. And I've had several now, and I collect up all the bottles from them. You can keep different colors in different bottles. They work just great. Just great. It's a pretty easy thing to do, to get something to vacuum pull a fine liquid like leather dye. It's basically like water. So it's an easy thing to use air to make that spray and to control a reasonably controllable spray. That's an easy thing to do. So I don't think you need to pay a lot of money to get it. Hope that helps you, Tavis. Something that you cannot get for cheap is a leather stitching machine. That's pricey. I'm looking at them right now. I'm seeing about investing in one. We'll see. Just to help move production a little bit along. It'll cut out one step in my process. So we'll see. We'll see. Deciding which is the right option, what's the right option, when is the right option. We'll see. Peter Halleck in Delaware dumped on 1 foot of snow. Oh, that's a beautiful thing. I hope you've got the crews and teams there to handle it. That's a tough thing. I see in some of I've been watching, different reels, Facebook videos and Instagram reels and stuff like that for you guys down there. And I see you getting, fairly minimal amounts of snow, 3, 4, 5, 6 inches. And you can just tell by the way they're handling it that they just don't have equipment to handle it, and and I see people getting on there and bashing them and making fun at them, people that live where I live, Canadians. Oh, look at these idiots, right? How they're handling the snow. But I get if you're 35 years old and you've never had snow where you live, other than maybe frost 2 mornings of your life, if you've never had snow, then sheesh, you probably don't own a snow shovel. You don't own a scraper shovel. You definitely don't have a bag of rock salt sitting inside your porch and things like that. So how do you deal with it? You don't have, in the wintertime here, every wheel loader around has a snow blade or snow bucket or a blade and a wing all set up for the winter. You don't have those sitting all over the place. You get skid steers with blades on them and tractors with blades on them, and they're just everywhere. But I get you. You guys wouldn't have that. Andrew, do you owe me money yet for the Forgecraft chef knife? No, you do not, sir. Hopefully by the end of this week, you will owe me money. Chubam, do you have any red and green black burst belts you can show us? I think you just sent me an email about this. If not, it's a strange coincidence because I just got an email within the last day or so with that exact question. I don't have anything I can show you here now. I'll try to shoot you an email on Monday about that. Nice. Ariel, the individual stitch hole drilling. Yes, so right now the sheaths are made to this stage. They're glued, they're set, they're grooved, and the stitch holes are made. So what I'm doing now is I will drill each hole, and then the sheath gets hand stitched. If I could combine those two steps into one, where each time I do this to drill the hole, the stitch is also placed, that would be a beautiful thing. That would be a beautiful thing. Ariel will get you to place another couple custom orders, and then I'll make that investment in that machine. I'll be ready then. That's the plan. That's what I'm waiting for. It's all riding on Ariel here. Beer Hunter, of all your builds, which has been your favorite? Now, that's a tough question. There was a build a couple years ago in my old shop, and favorite can be favorite for a few different reasons. Like the two-piece dagger series I built. You can go search it up if you haven't seen it. That was by far the most difficult build I have ever done. And so that was my favorite in terms of how it challenged me. It just pushed my skill level to another degree. And when I got done with that project, I was at a different level of knife making than I was before. The amount of problems I had to work through, the engineering issues I had to work through, the heat treat issues, Ariel, the heat treat issues I had to work through, all the carving on the brass work, and it was just a complex project with a lot of different facets, and that made me a different knife maker than I was before. However, in terms of styling, that was not my favorite. A fancy dagger like that, although that knife was absolutely gorgeous, not exactly my style of knife. Perhaps my favorite in terms of styling was, how do I even tell you? There was a Bowie I made, high flat grind fullered, aluminum guard with a black brass, black spacer, and then a bog oak with no pummel. So it was a hidden tang design, pinned through with a brass dome peened head, I believe. I wish I had a picture. I don't know how hard it would be to grab a picture of that. But that might be my favorite knife that I've built in terms of style preference. I just love that knife. Pardon me for pulling this up. Yep, I found a picture here now. It's pretty small. Let's see if I can show you. This knife right here. I just adore that knife. The lines, the ratio of blade to handle, the hidden tang. That was a complex and challenging build as well. That challenged me and just was a blast to build. I think it might be the first time I did an aluminum guard on one of my own knives. And I just loved that knife. Beautiful. The leather work for that knife was, I can't even remember here right now. I'd have to go back through my build notes to find out just who ended up purchasing that knife, but it was a special piece. Love that knife. The two Master Hunter pieces I did with the navy blue pine cone, those were wild builds, but again, not my favorite. Those were an example of the customer picking basically how much stuff can we put on a knife. And I made some advice. Okay, we don't want to do this here. It's going to end up being tacky. Okay, we want all mosaic pins as well. Well, I don't think you want all mosaic pins with the pine cone and the liners. It'll end up being, gaudy, G-A-W-D-Y, gaudy, tacky. So I made some stylistic advices like that, but we still ended up with pieces that were basically as much stuff as you could put on a knife. We had it there. We had stamping in the blades. We had fullered. We had pine cone handles, which is already really crazy and figured. And then it had liners and decorative tang filing, and I believe mosaic pins. Just a wild build. When I post that online, whenever I post it, it always gets a lot of excitement because to the general public, it's just something so special. You just have never seen anything like it before. And I get that why it gets all the attention. Style wise, not my favorite. It's a little too much for me. I just rambled on for a long time, but I hope I answered the question you're looking for or gave you some information there. Daniel, you've never seen me make or sharpen a fillet knife. I sharpen so many fillet knives or Filton knives here because here in Newfoundland, of course, we have a fishing industry around. So when it's cod season or mackerel season, the fishermen bring them here, 8 and 10 at a time, 10, 15 at a time in buckets with old fish guts and scale hanging off them. The first thing I got to do is clean them up before I want to touch them on any of my equipment. Clean all the scales off the blades, which really glue on there, by the way. I do a lot of filleting knives, but no, I rarely show them online because I rarely have, premium filleting knives come through here. Would I ever consider making a filleting knife? Yes. Have made multiple. I can remember the name of the guy who ordered the very first one I built. It's in Newfoundland here, actually, and on the East Coast, but did a buckskin Dymalux scale. It surprises me how many of my builds I can remember like that, specific builds, the client who purchased it. I can remember the conversation. I can remember the handle materials on a lot of different pieces, which is surprising because a lot of times I don't remember like nitty gritty information that's not that important, but I do with a lot of my builds. I have a tough time remembering family members' birthdays, but I can retain that. Tony, I'm glad you like the Buck 110 and 112 Customs. I gotta show you the one that's here on the bench. I gotta show it just because it's so beautiful. Let me put on a glove because I can't touch it. Once it's got final cleaning, even with the nickel, I don't want to touch it and start smudging it because it's so hard to get clean. Chew Bam, thanks so much for tuning in, buddy. Yeah, let's get a couple belts done for you. Let's see if I can get you a couple samples. But here's a piece I just finished. And this is a very special drop point 110 nickel bolster, full tang filing, mammoth molar scales. This is just cream of the crop premium here. Look at this. What an all-star knife. Again, look at that polish I mentioned earlier on. Look at the polish that mammoth molar takes on. Isn't that special? These nickel bolsters are a lot harder to finish than the brass. Brass is softer, a little softer. So it's easier to work out some of the scratches and stuff that you get in there from the belt grinder. But just, I think this is just a beautiful piece. This knife is heading to North Pole, Alaska. Isn't that fun? North Pole, Alaska. And what a piece of art. It's going in the Buck factory leather sheath. I think it should get one of my custom leather sheaths. We'll see. We'll see if I can upsell the client on a good premium like a maroon or a wine colored leather sheath. That would be fun. Have I ever built a knife with a convex grind? Yeah, I've built quite a few convex grinds. I have a convex grind here right now, and this is straight out of Forge. It hasn't been wire reeled. It doesn't have my final signature Forge finish on it yet, but this is a convex grind. You can see the start line, so it's not a full convex, but if you can see that grind line there, it's kind of subtle, but you can catch it in lighting. We're right there, and we are a full convex pretty much right to edge. It'll get a very small micro bevel, but it's ground quite thin. So we'll get our beautiful Forge finish on there, and it'll take on a little more of a glossy gun blue, whereas now it's very chalky, scaly, right? So it'll take on a beautiful, like a gun blued finish, and this is a Tuckamore pattern. Really, really excited for that. Just a beautiful knife compared to, say, a Scandi grind, right? Scandi grind, Tuckamore. Tuckamore is a great piece. A great piece. If you've ever held one, it's just a beautiful companion size. The right length, depth, weight, in my opinion, is just right. A large version of the Bake Apple, the Bake Apple XL. You know, it's funny. I've gotten quite a few requests in the last month for the Bake Apple XL. And so I'm going to draw up a pattern. I've actually made them in the past. Years ago when I first came out with the Bake Apple, I remember getting some requests in, people that really loved the Bake Apple design, but it was just a little too small for them, so they wanted a full-size companion modeled after the Bake Apple, and that's exactly what I did. And I remember I did one early on that was full mirror polished Bake Apple XL, and then I did like it was an orange to black fade Elder Burl. That thing was so beautiful. So beautiful. Tony, I just got a message up above there. Tony, have you ever customized any of the Buck fixed blades, new handles, and file work? Absolutely. You go on my channel, you can find the Buck 124. I've done the Buck Ranger, the 119, the one... I can't remember all the numbers now, but I've worked on so many of them. I'm a young fellow, but I've been in this game a long time. You can probably tell by the darkness under my eyes and the crow's feet and stuff. I've been in this game a long time. Might be the 4 little girls I have running around too. That might have something to do with it, but Kathleen, how many knives does your shop finish each day? That varies. I can't really give a number, but we don't finish knives here exactly daily. Sometimes it works out like that, but as much as possible for efficiency's sake, knives are batch produced. So even with customs, if I can do, 10 at a time, then we'll do 10 at a time. There's times here that there might be a batch of 30 production knives, Bake Apples, Tuckamores, going through it basically at one time. But we might spend an entire week or 10 days or whatever working on those, just bringing them through. So we'll cut them all, drill them all, grind them all, heat treat them all, handle prep, fix all the handles, finish all the handles, leather work, like they'll just all move through together. And then at the end, we'll just have a rack of knives to take up to the shipping room and either stock or ship out. Efficiency wise, speed wise, that is by far the way to go compared to making one at a time and having to set up every stage to do that. We're about 2 minutes from shutdown, guys. We're 58 minutes into the stream. Now's your chance. You want to get in an extra question, go for it. Otherwise, we'll start signing off. I really appreciate you all being here today. If you scroll to the very top of the live chat here, I threw a comment in before anyone else. The very first comment, it was a link, and that link will take you to my Google, the KN Knives business page, and it will take you right to the review section where you can leave a review. I would only want you to review if you work with me before. So if you've had a custom knife, if you've purchased off the website, if you've had repair, restoration work, if you have experience working with me or my product, I'd love it if you'd leave me a review there. There's a little star rating, 1 through 5, and then you can leave a written review. I'd really appreciate that. And even more so, next Friday. So actually, that will be the day. That'll be perfect because it's the day I'm live streaming. Would that be next Friday? Is next Friday Valentine's Day? 1 second, guys. I got to check this out for a second. Yeah. Next Friday, the 14th. I think that's Valentine's Day. But we'll be doing a live stream next Friday night, and I will be announcing then I'm going to do a giveaway. Whether there's 30, 40, 50 reviews on the Google page at that point, I'm going to do a random number count. Let's say it's 50, and we'll pick one of those names out of the list, and you will get a free brand new KN Knives knife. And, it's one of those giveaways where you're not going to be chosen. The chances are 1 out of 1,000. It's probably going to be 1 out of 50, 1 out of 40, something like that. There are 50 reviews there now, which is super exciting. I really appreciate you guys leaving that review. But the beauty is you leave a review, you have to leave your name there. And so when I do a draw, I have access to your name. I can shoot you an email. It's a beautiful thing. Thanks so much, guys, for tuning in. Thank you, Daniel, for being subscribed for several years. Chad, good evening, buddy. Glad you made it here. I don't know if you're just making it here or not. Thanks, Jeff Rose. I appreciate it. Have a great Sabbath. I'm excited tomorrow to get to worship with my church family and my home family. Eat some good food, get lots of rest in, hopefully sleep in the morning. You have a good evening too, Brad. Good night. I'm heading home to my wife, heading out in the cold. We'll see you next week, Friday next week. If you actually calendar this in, it's going to be Friday night, 8 o'clock. Happy birthday, Andrew. Have a great day tomorrow, buddy. We'll see you all next week.